Hey guys, how's it going? Leak here. So this is going to be a guide on how to kill Nullaeus, the solo delve boss for Season 1 on Midnight. This video is recorded on hard mode, but the guide is going to work on both difficulties. So I'm going to briefly explain his abilities, show off the setup that I used, and then give commentary over my kill VoD to explain the fight and give some tips and tricks. So when it comes to abilities, Nullaeus is pretty simple. If you did Zekfir in Season 1 of the War Within, I think that this boss is pretty similar. His first ability is called Emptiness of the Void. Now this is a spell that you must interrupt or you will instantly die. If you have an immunity, you can use that as a last resort if you can't kick for whatever reason. Next, he has a magic debuff called Devouring Essence. So if you're running healer Valeera, which you should honestly, she's going to immediately dispel it. So this mechanic basically doesn't exist because Valeera just instantly gets rid of it. This one's not an ability, but Nullaeus melees very hard. By the end of the fight, he was meleeing me for about 200k a swing, so lots of auto attack damage. Now for the fight itself, Nullaeus has 3 intermissions. These start when he reaches 75%, 50%, and 25% HP. During these intermissions, Nullaeus will also begin to spawn these void orbs, which cover the room and stuff you don't want to stand in. During these intermissions, you also want to kill the adds that spawn as quickly as possible. The boss is going to be immune during his intermissions. So the first intermission at 75% spawns 2 adds. These adds just leap around and they cast a really strong bleed on their target. The second intermission, at 50%, spawns several spitting ticks, and these adds put up a nasty debuff on you and you want to kill them really quickly, but they don't have a lot of HP. The final intermission at 25% spawns a single caster mob, and this is where I would use Lust or Drums and your potion as well. And you want to nuke this mob ASAP, because he's also a caster. You can afford to kick his cast while the boss is immune, but if the add is alive while the boss is active, you can't kick both the add and the boss, because you need to kick Emptiness of the Void from the boss, or you will die. So for my Valeera setup, first of all, you want to level her up. A higher level Valeera means she's going to do more healing, and this delve boss does a lot of damage, so you need that extra healing. Next, combat role. If you're a DPS, you probably need her set as healer. She has a dispel when she's a healer, and she does a lot of healing. So since the boss does a lot of damage, and you need the dispel, you set her as healer. Combat Curio. I did Mantle of Stars. Like, Mantle of Stars is kind of like a cheat death. Like, if you drop low enough on your health, you get a giant absorb shield and you make all the enemies around you take more damage. So this is very useful. Like, there's a lot of damage going out, and this gives you a little extra damage if it does proc. So it's nice. Now, if you absolutely don't need Mantle of Stars, you can go and you can use Porcelain Blade Tip. This is a tiny damage boost, but honestly, I didn't feel like I needed a damage boost. I wanted the extra survivability, especially with the gear that I have right now because our gear kind of sucks in preseason gear, so I did Mantle of Stars. Utility Curio, I did Overflowing Void Spire. This is basically extra damage and healing. Like, who doesn't like extra damage and healing? As for my gear, I'm not super geared, but I do have a decent amount of gear. Like, I played the last 2 weeks, so I got some gear. I'm eye level 244.25, so like, not insanely high, but this shows that like, you can kill the boss with almost no gear at all. I did spend sparks on a crafted weapon, but that's pretty much the only thing. Like, I'm fully enchanted, I'm fully gemmed, but besides that, not very geared, to be honest. Now for my hero tree, I played Sentinel. 2 reasons here. 1, Sentinel's good, and damage is good because you want to kill the boss fast. But 2, Sentinel has a defensive called Don't Look Back, and this is a very strong defensive. Like, throughout the fight, this was my number 2 healing, and it did about 1 million healing during the fight, so I don't think I would have lived without this, so Sentinel is very good. Talent build itself, I'm basically running a Mythic Plus build. Like, I have 2 against many, and I have Lethal Calibration, just because like I wanted to kill the adds as quickly as possible, because honestly, in my opinion, the intermissions with the adds were more difficult than the boss itself, but I'll put a link to this build in the description of the video. Also for Hunter talents, there are a few important things here that you need to pick up. Not only do you want Misdirection, but you want this talent called No Hard Feelings. When you cast Misdirection on your pet with No Hard Feelings, your pet takes 50% less damage for 5 seconds. Like, your pet gets smacked by the boss, so this is very good. Like, it's basically an extra defensive for your pet on a 25-second cooldown. Next, you want Wilderness Medicine. This makes your men pet heal for 25% more. Nothing much to say there, like, extra healing on your pet, like, you'll see in the VoD, my pet is ping-ponging back and forth, and it's like, I'm casting Res Pet like every 4 globals, and it would have been like every 2 globals if I didn't run these pet defensive talents. Lastly, I ran Intimidation, and I also used Guttural Roar, which is an AoE Intimidation, and this was useful for the intermissions because it stops the adds from casting. Now, one more thing I didn't do, I wasn't running Binding Shot, You could probably run Binding Shot if you want to. Like, I think this would have had value on the second intermission and probably the first one as well because the ads are leaping around. So if you wanted to pick that up, like, maybe you could sacrifice something for it. Like, maybe 1 point out of Born to Be Wild. You can remove 1 point from there and put it in Binding Shot. But that's it for talents. So for the most part, I'm just going to let this VOD play out and let you guys watch the fight and see how I did it. But there are some spots I want to provide commentary and explain some things as well. So for starters, I had my pet tank the boss the entire time, but you can see here, like, 5 seconds into the fight, pet is dead, so I cast res pet, and this sets the tone for the rest of the boss. Like, a third of the fight is going to be spent pressing res pet or men pet. Like, your pet is made of paper, but it can tank the boss, and if your pet is tanking, that means you're not taking damage. So sure, it's a little slower because you're wasting globals and time on casting res pet and men pet, but like, you're not dying, so it's worth it. And it got me the kill. I got the kill very quickly, so have your pet tank. It's really important to keep your pet alive as long as possible. This boss gains damage the longer you're fighting him, so if your pet keeps dying, you're doing less damage, and the boss takes longer to kill, and he does more damage. So you want to rotate through your pet defensives wisely. So this will be using Survival of the Fittest, Misdirect as a pet cooldown, and you also want to use a tank pet. Like, I wasn't using a tank pet here, so my pet could have been even tankier if I was using a proper pet, like a Scale Hide. Lastly, you want to make sure that Men Pet is pretty much always active. Like, if Men Pet is not active healing your pet is more likely to die. One more thing about healing and defensives, Healer Valeera will drop these healing orbs on the ground. You want to stagger picking them up, because picking them up puts a heal over time effect on you. When you pick up a new orb, it refreshes the effect of the old one, so you want to stagger them and keep that heal rolling as long as possible. Anyway, enough yapping about pets. So you'll see here, the boss is going to cast Emptiness of the Void, and you want to kick this, because if you don't kick it, you instantly die. Now, if you do have your cheat death available, like, maybe that will save you. If you have an immunity available, like, that'll save you too if you press your immunity, but you need to kick that spell. Like, that is one of the things in this boss that'll one-shot you immediately. Now, here we have the first intermission. The boss reached 75% HP, and it spawns these 2 ads. All they do is they leap around, and they'll leap to these circles that they put on the ground, so this is an indicator of where they'll jump. Also, they'll put a big bleed on their target, so they don't really do anything besides that. Like here, I misdirect my pet, I keep men pet rolling, and then I use Intimidation as well to stun them. I also send my cooldowns here because, again, like, you don't want to fight these at the same time as the boss. This fight gets very hectic if you have ads alive when you're fighting the boss, so you want to nuke these down. Like, the boss intermissions are at set percentages. Like, they're at 75%, 50%, and 25%. So there's no rush to get him to the intermission. Like, you want to nuke the ads as quickly as possible. Like, you can see right here, I'm fighting the ads and the boss at the same time, and my pet instantly dies. I almost died. Like, I dropped to like 1 HP in my cheat death procs, and then I have to turtle to res my pet because I'm taking so much damage just because the ads are alive while the boss is alive. Like, this is a big no. Honestly, I'm surprised I didn't wipe here. Like, you absolutely need to nuke those ads down as quickly as possible. So this purple stuff on the ground here is the other ability that happens during the intermission. Now this will go on for the rest of the fight, but basically, the boss shoots out these void orbs and it'll block off 1/3 of the room at the time. And it's basically just area denial, and it's pretty simple to play around. Like, here, I'm just tanking the boss right at the edge. That way, when it does despawn, you can move into the new safe zone, because it's going to cover 1/3 of the room at a time. So you just move around. As soon as it despawns, you move to the new safe zone. And now I'll just let the fight play out until the next intermission at 50%. So while this fight has like almost no RNG at all, there are some really annoying things that can happen during this fight. So with these area denial pools that the boss puts down, like, they're completely random. I couldn't seem to see any like set order to them, but one thing that's really annoying that can happen is that the boss can put down those area denial pools, and then Valeera immediately throws down her healing orbs in the area denial. So like, that's kind of unlucky, but it is what it is. Came very close to dying there, but thankfully, the boss faces here into intermission 2 immediately, so kind of saves my life. So here we have a bunch of little ads called Spitting Ticks. They're very easy to kill. Like, you can see here, I pop my cooldown, and they're like immediately at 50% health. So they don't have a lot of health, but these things do a lot of damage if you let them live. So you need to nuke them down immediately. So basically, like what I do, I cast Men Pet, I cast Misdirection, and you can see here, like my pet is getting completely owned because they put a dot up that does a lot of damage. So you want them dead as soon as possible because like before, if they're alive while the boss is also attacking you, you're probably going to immediately wipe. They just have to die immediately. Anyway, once these ads die, back to fighting the boss and it's back to the normal boss mechanics. So you want to kick his cast and you want to move out of the poop. And that's pretty much like the entire non-intermission phase. Very simple, like the boss just hits incredibly hard, and as the fight goes on, the boss does more and more damage. So you can see here, like I'm spending more and more time casting Res Pet because my boss is dying in like 2 melee swings. So the longer it takes you to kill the boss, the more damage you're going to take. Now one more thing that I forgot to mention, like in the top left corner, you can see this void orb flying around. And basically, like, it's going to slowly pull you in as it flies around. And you just want to be careful, like, make sure you're not getting pulled away from the boss when he does the cast that you need to interrupt, because that can easily cause you to wipe. Alright, and coming up is the final intermission, and honestly the hardest one and most important one as well. You want to make sure you have some form of Bloodlust, you want your DPS pot, and you want your cooldowns available as well. This guy has a lot of HP, and you need to kill him as soon as possible. So this guy's a caster, and his casts hurt. But also, since his casts hurt, you want to kick them obviously, but if this guy is active while the boss is active, like you can't kick both this ad and the boss. So you have to make a choice. So you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and those Shadow Bolts are eventually just going to start one-shotting you. So you need to kill this guy before the boss comes active. Honestly, I barely kill him in time. Like in my previous attempts, I didn't kill him in time, and I immediately wiped right afterwards. So if you can kill this guy fast enough, I think you're going to be able to kill the boss. Because after this, if you make it out of this intermission alive and the ad is dead, honestly, the boss is free. So from here, finish off the ad, and then I just do the fight like normal. My pet starts dying like every 2 seconds here because the boss is doing a lot of extra damage at this point. So everything is super lethal. Like you see here, I turtle again to get Res Pet off because if I didn't turtle, I probably would have died while channeling Res Pet. But then again, like as soon as my pet comes up, I cast Misdirect to give him a defensive, I put Men Pet on him, and then I pray he lives. But you can see like he doesn't live very long, he just immediately dies. And then the boss hits me for like 90% of my health for a melee swing. Like the boss is doing a lot of damage at this point. So you need to kill him as soon as you can because the boss is doing more and more damage as the fight goes on. And now the boss is dead. Honestly, like, this wasn't that difficult. Like, this only took me about 30 minutes of attempts. I think the hardest parts of this fight, like, are the intermissions, because you need the damage to kill those ads as quickly as possible. Like, the sooner you kill those ads, the less problems you're going to have in the fight, because the ads lining up with the actual boss itself is very bad, and it's going to make the fight way harder than it needs to be. Outside of that, just like, you want to make sure you're interrupting the boss, you move the boss out of the poop, and pick up Valeera's healing orbs, and make sure you stagger the buffs and stagger picking them up so you can keep the heal rolling throughout the fight. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Honestly, Mike Cappy was the real MVP of this fight, and I'm not sure how non-pet classes do this boss with our current gear, if I'm being honest. Like, he does a lot of damage. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Did you manage to kill Nullaeus? Are you waiting for more gear? If you liked the video, please give it a like and subscribe if you're new. It really helps me out and it helps the channel out as well. Also, I'm streaming on Twitch pretty much every day of the season. Come check me out. Twitch.tv/Liku_. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.